Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep into something I know a lot of you are super curious about, the impact of healthy food versus, well, let's be honest, junk food.
It's a question I get a lot, actually.
Right, like it's one thing to know we should be eating our veggies, but you guys really wanted to understand the why.
There's science behind it all.
Exactly. So get ready, because we are about to get into some serious science. One of the things that popped up constantly was this whole nutrients thing.
Ah, yes,
Could you
nutrients.
break that down for us? Like, what are they even, really?
Okay, so picture this. Your body. It's like this high-performance machine.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And every machine, especially one as complex as our bodies, needs the right fuel, the right building blocks to run smoothly.
Makes sense.
That's where nutrients come in. They're like the premium fuel, the top-tier oil that keeps everything functioning at its best. And just like a car needs a specific type of fuel, different nutrients have very specific roles to play.
So what kind of roles are we talking about? I know I saw protein mentioned a lot in the research.
Protein is essential. It's like the construction crew of your body. It gets broken down into these things called amino acids. Those are the building blocks for basically everything. Muscles, bones, your skin, hair, you name it.
Seriously, all that from protein.
Even the enzymes that control all those chemical reactions happening inside you are built with protein. And when you don't get enough, well, it shows.
So it's not just gym rats who need to worry about their protein intake then.
Nope, not at all. And then you've got your vitamins and minerals, which are like the support team, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Okay, so give us an example. What's one of those essential vitamins or minerals that we should be paying attention to?
One that often gets overlooked is vitamin D. It's actually more like a hormone, really, and it does so much. From making sure your body can actually absorb calcium for strong bones to keeping your immune system in tip-top shape.
See, I always thought of vitamin D as the sunshine vitamin.
It is. But a lot of people don't realize just how much it impacts our overall health.
Wow, okay, so there's way more to it than just reading the nutrition label, huh?
Yeah.
It's about understanding what these nutrients actually do inside our bodies. What about things like omega-3 fatty acids?
Oh, those are crucial, especially for your brain.
Yeah, I know they're good for brain health, but some of the research mentioned other benefits too, right?
Absolutely. Specifically DHA, one of the omega-3s, is super important for brain development and function. It helps those brain cells communicate effectively, and that impacts, well, pretty much everything. Your memory, your focus, even your mood.
Really? Wow, I did not realize it was connected to all of that.
There's even research suggesting that getting enough omega-3s might even help protect against cognitive decline as you age.
Seriously, so we're talking about long-term benefits, not just like a quick energy boost.
Exactly. And that's why understanding these connections can be so powerful. It's not about labeling foods as simply good or bad, but about understanding how what we choose to eat directly affects this incredible machine that is our body.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is.
Okay, so we've talked about all the good stuff, the nutrients that keep us running smoothly. But what about the flip side? What happens when we're constantly reaching for junk food? Is it really as bad as everyone says?
Well, that's where this concept of nutrient density comes in.
Nutrient density.
Basically, it's a measure of how many nutrients you're actually getting per calorie. So, healthy foods, they're packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber. You get a lot bang for your calorie buck.
Okay, I'm following.
Junk food, on the other hand, tends to be calorie dense, meaning it has a lot of calories, but it's nutrient poor.
So it's like empty calories, lots of energy, but no real nutritional value.
Yeah, think of it like this. You wouldn't fill up your car with sugar water instead of gasoline, right?
Definitely not if I wanted it to actually run.
Exactly. And just like that car wouldn't run very efficiently, our bodies don't function at their best on a diet of empty calories. One study actually found that people who ate a lot of fast food, even if they were eating enough calories overall, had lower levels of certain nutrients in their blood.
So not only are we missing out on those important nutrients, but if we're constantly choosing junk food, it could actually lead to like deficiencies over time. That's kind of scary when you put it that way.
It's definitely something to be mindful of. And it's not even just about avoiding deficiencies. It's about, giving your body what it needs to truly thrive.
Right, like we're talking about our hearts, our lungs, our brains, all these amazing organs working 24/7 to keep us going.
Exactly. They deserve the best fuel we can give them.
They absolutely do. Okay, so we've covered how these nutrients are like the building blocks and the support team for our bodies. But what about all that research you sent about how food can impact our mental and emotional health? Like, how does that even work? Can what I eat really affect how I feel?
It sounds crazy, right? But it all comes down to what's called the gut-brain connection.
Okay, I've heard of that, but
Yep.
explain it to me like I'm 5.
One of the papers you sent described it as a two-way communication highway between your gut and your brain. They're constantly sending signals back and forth.
A communication highway in our bodies. Wild.
Right. And a key player in all of this is your gut microbiome.
The microbiome, that's all those trillions of bacteria living in our gut, right?
Exactly. And these bacteria aren't just hanging out. They play a huge role in our overall health.
So, like, what do they actually do?
Well, they help us digest food, for one. They even produce certain vitamins. And they can even influence our immune systems. But what's really mind-blowing is how they communicate with our brains. That's where things like mood, sleep, even how we respond to stress come into play.
So let me get this straight. What we feed these bacteria in our gut can affect our mental state.
That's what the research is suggesting, yeah. There are studies that have found a link between a diverse gut microbiome and better mental health.
Like a happy gut, happy mind kind of thing.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
And when your gut microbiome is out of whack, it can have the opposite effect. One article you sent mentioned a study with mice.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these mice.
Well, they fed one group of mice a diet that was really high in sugar and fat. The other group, they got a balanced diet. And compared to the mice eating healthy, the ones on the junk food diet, they started showing signs of anxiety and even depression.
Wow, seriously, just from their diet.
That's not even the craziest part. The researchers then took the gut bacteria from the unhealthy mice and transplanted it into the healthy mice.
Okay, hold on. They could actually do that.
Yeah, and guess what happened? The healthy
Yeah.
mice. They started showing those same negative changes in behavior and brain function.
Whoa, that's kind of terrifying to think about. It's like our gut bacteria can literally mess with our heads. But before we swear off food altogether, let's talk about those super nutrients we mentioned before. Omega-3s and antioxidants. Where do they come in?
Those are the superheroes of the brain food world for sure. Remember how we talked about omega-3s being super important for brain cell communication?
Yeah, and how that affects our mood, memory, all of that.
Right. Well, antioxidants are like the body's damage control team.
Damage control. What kind of damage are we talking about here?
So our cells are under constant attack from these things called free radicals. Think of them like unstable molecules that can actually damage your DNA and other cell structures.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
And this damage, it's a normal part of aging, but it can be accelerated by things like pollution, stress, and, yep, you guessed it, an unhealthy diet.
Of course.
That's where antioxidants swoop in. They help neutralize those free radicals, like putting out tiny fires before they can cause too much damage.
So the more antioxidants we have, the less damage those free radicals can do. Makes sense.
And we get these antioxidants from eating healthy foods, right?
You know it. Fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, even dark chocolate. They're all packed with antioxidants. And a good rule of thumb, the more colorful your plate, the wider range of antioxidants you're getting.
Like eating the rainbow. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered how crucial it is to fuel our bodies and our brains with good stuff. What about the long game? You send over some research about chronic diseases and longevity and how those are affected by the food we eat, too. Is there really a connection there? It really feels like we're way beyond just an apple a day keeps the doctor away at this point, huh? Definitely. We're talking about a whole new level of understanding. And you're right, the research on how food impacts those long-term things like chronic diseases and even how long we live. It's fascinating stuff.
One of the things that really jumped out at me was this whole idea of inflammation. I always thought of inflammation as something that happens when you sprain an ankle, that kind of thing. But in the research you sent, there's a lot about chronic inflammation and how that plays a role in a lot of health problems. What's the connection to food there?
That's a great question. So there are actually two types of inflammation. Acute inflammation, that's the kind you're talking about.
Sprained ankle kind.
Exactly. It's your body's natural response to injury or infection. It's a good thing, actually. It's how your body protects itself and heals. But when inflammation is chronic, it means it's constantly there in the background, and that's when it can cause problems. So it's like too much of a good thing. You got it. And that's where food comes in. What we eat can either fuel that fire of inflammation or help to calm things down. Remember those antioxidants we talked about?
Yeah, like our body's own personal firefighters.
Exactly. They're fighting those free radicals that can trigger inflammation. So eating lots of colorful fruits and veggies, healthy fats, those are like building a strong defense force against chronic inflammation.
Okay, that's a visual I can get behind. So what about junk food then? Where does that fit in?
A lot of processed foods, sugary drinks, unhealthy fats, those have actually been shown to increase inflammation in the body. There was even one study you sent over that compared having a fast food meal, to the inflammatory effects of a bacterial infection.
Hey, really? That's kind of intense.
Yeah, it really puts things into perspective. So when we understand that chronic inflammation is linked to all these health problems and that our food choices can either make it worse or help to control it, it becomes clear how important our diets are for our long-term health.
Absolutely. I mean, we've gone from talking about basic nutrition to the gut-brain connection to now inflammation and chronic diseases. It's pretty mind-blowing how much there is to learn about food.
Isn't it fascinating? This is really just scratching the surface. Every single day, scientists are learning more and more about this complex relationship between food and our bodies.
So where does this leave us then? What's the takeaway for our listeners who are probably feeling super inspired right now, but maybe also a little overwhelmed?
I think the most important thing to remember is that knowledge really is power. You wanted to understand the why, and now you've got this deeper understanding of the science behind healthy eating. You're empowered to make choices that support your health goals.
I love that. It's not about being perfect or following some crazy restrictive diet. It's about making informed choices most of the time,
Right.
like choosing water over soda more often or adding an extra serving of veggies to your meals.
Exactly. Those small changes can make a huge difference in the long run. And remember, it's not about deprivation. It's about abundance. Focusing on all the amazing, delicious, nourishing foods that you can have. Foods that taste good and make you feel amazing.
This has been such an incredible deep dive, going from those basic nutrition facts to the power of our gut microbiome and how our food choices can help us fight inflammation and live healthier for longer. Thanks so much for breaking it all down with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to geek out about nutrition.
And to our listeners, remember that you have the power to take control of your health one bite at a time. Keep asking those questions, keep learning, and keep making those healthy choices.